यजामहे सगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयममृतातो. Namaste. Relaxation has an important element in everything we do and everything we try to be successful in. It requires us to relax away from distractions, from the things that keep us from being focused on what we're really trying to do. And this world seems to be set up these days to distract us more and more, whether we're trying to accomplish something outwardly or in meditation. It's the same. So what can we do about distractions? There are basically two solutions. One of them works and one of them doesn't. The obvious thing to try to do is to push away the distractions. This is what many beginning meditators especially try to do, is push away the distractions, battle them. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. But there's another way, and that is, in effect, to pull the plug on the distractions, to pull the plug on the senses. The way Paramahansa Yogananda put it, he said, disconnect the sense telephones, which are constantly ringing, constantly distracting us. Not that we don't have the sense capabilities anymore, but it's that we have a choice of how often we engage with them. And those people who are really concentrated, who are going to accomplish things in this world, have a great ability to cut themselves off from sensory distractions. Now, for some people, they think that would be boredom. That would be deprivation. I'm not even sure I would be alive if I disconnected the sense telephones. But for the yogi, that's where true life begins. So in our class today, we're going to focus on three aspects of this. First, taking charge of our energy. Energy is what animates the senses. And to take charge of that energy is to begin to control the senses, to receive sensory input when we want it and not when we don't. So take charge of our energy, relax inward, okay, away from the periphery of the body. The periphery is where the senses are. And if we can relax energy away from that periphery, we will not be distracted. We'll be able to concentrate better. And the third dimension of that is put our mind positively on some point of focus. And a point of focus that we're often going to be choosing in this class is the currents of energy that move in the spine. So let's begin our class now focusing on those spinal currents. Come down to a comfortable sitting position. Claudia will be assisting with this class again. So sitting cross-legged or sitting on a chair as you wish, just so you can have a straight spine. The belly has lots of room to expand as you inhale, relax back in as you exhale. And close the eyes, lift the gaze slightly to the point between the eyebrows, and let's put one hand over the navel, the other hand over the lower rib cage. Let's practice the full yogic breath. As you inhale, first you push into the navel hand, then you expand out into the rib hand and all the way up into the chest. In the exhalation, the chest relaxes in, the rib hand relaxes in, the belly relaxes in. Inhale, belly, lower ribs and chest. Exhale, chest and lower ribs and belly. You can relax the hands down. Just continue with this breathing pattern, full yogic breathing. Inhale, belly, lower ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, lower ribs, belly. Just breathe in whatever duration of inhalation and exhalation is comfortable for you. This is a perfect breathing technique to tune in to the flows of energy in the spine, which rise through the spine as you inhale and descend the spine as you exhale. This can be a wonderful inward point of focus that's going to help you to keep from being distracted, to build up that capacity to stay inwardly focused. Just a few breaths this way, rising on the inhalation, all the way to the brain, descending on the exhalation. One more breath. And then let's open the eyes again. Now, as you practice today, keep coming back to this inner focus of the energy in the spine. Get the energy moving away from the periphery of the body as much as possible into the center, up to the brain. So let's come onto our backs, warm up a little bit. So lying in place, let's first bring the right knee up and squeeze it into the chest. And release it out. Then simultaneously bring the left knee up, squeeze it in, release it out. Just trade legs with the breath. Side to side, squeeze in a little further, and a little further. Just relaxing the hips. Hold it a little bit longer this time on the right side. And relax and change sides. Squeeze it in. And relax. Bring the right up again and hold. And then bring the hands behind the knee and straighten the leg, and let's stretch through the back of the leg. And lengthen through the heel especially. Keep the breath flowing. See if you can bring the leg a little more over the face. And then relax the leg down, and let's bring the other leg up. Again, interlace behind the knee. Reach through the heel. And relax the leg down. Now let's do some side-to-side twisting. Bring both knees up, arms out to your sides. And we're going to move only on the exhalations. The inhalations, we're going to lengthen the spine. The exhalations are going to move from side to side. So let's inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, knees over to one side. Stay there as you inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring the knees up and all the way over to the other side. Stay there as you inhale. On the exhalation, bring the knees up, back to the first side. And continue side to side. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, moving. Easily. Try to keep the legs relaxed and focus on the abdominal region, using those muscles to move the body, warming up the abdominal region. And one more. And back to center, and squeeze the knees in. Roll along the length of your spine, forward and back. And let's come all the way up to standing. And separate the feet, comfortable distance. We're going to warm up the shoulders a little bit, as well as additional warm up for the spine. Okay, let's inhale, stretch up the left arm. Exhale over to the right. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Now the right arm, inhale up. Exhale to the side. Inhale up and down. Back again with the left arm. And the right. Begin with the left. This time we're going to tense the arm up and relax over. Tense up, relax down. The right arm, tense it up, relax over. Tense up, relax down. Once more each side, tensing up and relaxing down. Okay, and let's step into Tadasana now for our first asana. The balance pose, we're going to do a couple balance poses today because they are so effective for bringing your awareness more strongly into the spine. We'll start with the easier of the two, Garudasana, the eagle pose. Shift your weight onto the left leg, wrap the right leg around. You can either keep the right toes on the floor or you can bring them off the floor, as Claudia will do, and bring the left arm up in front, right arm underneath and around. Feel like you're wrapping your limbs around your center, around the energy spine. See if you can feel that rising and descending current in the spine as you breathe. And silently affirm, at the center of life's storms, I stand serene. And let's release the arms. Inhale, stretch open. Exhaling, release the leg back to Tadasana. Let's close the eyes briefly, a breath or two here. Just always go inside. Strengthen that inner capacity to withdraw from the distractions all around. Let's do the other side. Shift the weight to the right leg now. Wrap the left around. Get either toes on the floor or lifted slightly off. Right arm up. Left arm underneath and around. Breathe through the spine. Take the breaths a little deeper. Make the breath dynamic so it's an easier thing to focus on. We're not trying to huff and puff here, but we are trying to get a very clear sense of the movement of energy in the spine. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. And let's release the arms, inhaling open. Release the leg back to Tadasana. Close the eyes, lift the gaze to the point between the eyebrows. Just easy standing, easy breathing in the center. Now let's step the feet wide apart for Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Let's turn the left leg out 90 degrees, right leg rotates in. Come into a nice deep lunging position here. And you can either bring the elbow onto left thigh or left hand all the way down to the floor, and then sweep the right arm over the top in line with the spine. So bring it all the way over the top. In line with the spine, try to keep the head lined up with the spine. You can either gaze straight ahead or turn your gaze up past the upper arm. Wonderful energizing pose to make you even more aware of the spinal currents. Close the eyes if you don't need them open and just concentrate inward as you hold this very energetic asana, silently affirming, I'm a fountain of boundless energy and power. I'm a fountain of boundless energy and power. All right, let's inhale. Stretch up the right arm, toes forward, open. Exhale, relax, arms down, just in this wide stance position. Close the eyes and let the body soften away from the periphery. You have to send energy to the periphery of your body to do these asanas, and that's fine. But when you're done, bring it back. Anything we do in life, we need to send energy outward to accomplish it, But when it's over, just rein it in. Draw it back. Let's do the other side. Turn the right leg out 90 degrees, left leg rotates in. Again, coming into a deep lunging position to the side. Try to keep the chest forward as you can. And then either right elbow on right thigh or right hand to the floor. Either one. Bring the left arm up and over the top. The breath flowing. Try to do the full yogic breath here in this position. Inhaling belly, lower ribs and chest. Exhaling chest, lower ribs and belly. Try to feel the spinal currents. That's your fountain of boundless energy and power. Just tune into it. One more breath. With your next inhalation, reach up with the left arm, coming back to upright. Exhaling, relax arms down, step the feet back to Tadasana. Let's close the eyes and go inside with all that energy in the spine. Just feel like a spinal magnet is drawing energy from the periphery of your body into center. It'll happen to some degree on its own, but if you visualize it happening, if you feel it happening, it'll happen even more strongly. Okay, let's do another balance pose. This one that emphasizes not just the spine, but your particular balance point in the spine. This is Vajrasana, the king of the dance pose. Okay, I'm going to do a simpler version of it. Claudia will do a little bit more advanced version of the pose. Shift your weight onto the left leg. Bring the right foot up behind, grasp the inner ankle. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, tipping forward at the left hip. I'll just go a little ways. Claudia will go a little farther. Just go whatever works for you. Keep the breath flowing. Find that anchor point in yourself, in your spine. Silently affirm, while I move through life, I am anchored in myself. While I move through life, I am anchored in myself. And let's inhale back to upright. Release the leg. Back to Tadasana. Let the body soften. Close the eyes. Lift the gaze. Just find that anchor point right in the center of your center. As we do the second side, try to feel that you're expanding out in both directions from that anchor point. Back through the leg behind, forward through the spine. Well, let's shift the weight onto the right leg and bring the left leg up. Grasp inner ankle. Let's inhale the right arm up. Exhaling. Tip forward only within your range of balance. Focus mostly on expanding from that center, from that anchor point. Silently affirming, while I move through life, I am anchored in myself. All right, let's inhale. Come back to upright. Exhale. Relax the arm down. Just relax to Tadasana. Let the body soften. Just enjoy that feeling of being very strongly in your center. This begins to withdraw the life force from your periphery. Let's come down onto the floor and turn knees in firm pose. It's a wonderful centering pose. It really draws the mind inward. If you like, you can have across the right big toe over the left big toe. You can hold the palms up. The junction of thigh and abdomen, spine is straight. Close the eyes and lift the gaze to the point between the eyebrows. Let the weight of your upper body squeeze any tensions out of the legs. Let them relax completely. Silently affirm, in stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. Let's open the eyes now and come into child pose, preparatory for hare pose. Let's inhale, exhale forward, out over the knees and drop forehead to the floor. Let the body soften for a moment. And then reach back, grasp the heels, thumb along the outer edge of the foot. Bring the forehead in close to the knees. Inhale and lift the hips up, stretching arms straight. As we do this asana today, focus on the spine. Feel like the spine is trying to reach forward, and the grip of the hands on the heels is preventing that, but it's also accentuating your awareness of the spine. Keep your weight very lightly on the head. Silently affirm, I am master of my energy. I am master of myself. And let's release back to child pose. Let the body soften. With your next inhalation, come up into firm pose once again. We're going to do Supta Vajrasana, the supine firm pose. Now, we're going to use some props for this pose because most people do need props in order to do it comfortably. This is not meant to be an incredibly intense pose. What it's meant to be is to give you a sense of relaxation. Release the distracting energies, especially of the upper thighs, the fronts of the thighs, that tend to take us out, compel us to go into outward activity, even when we don't really need to. So Supta Vajrasana, we'll have some number of blankets here. Okay. So Claudia will lean back from Vajrasana into supine firm pose, relaxing back on it. Try to keep the knees on the floor and lengthen through the tops of the thighs. This should be relaxing. There's a little bit of intensity to the stretch, but not something that's going to be real uncomfortable. Just that comfortable stretch here. Let go through the tops of the thighs, silently affirming energetic movement or unmoving peace. The choice is mine alone. The choice is mine. Energetic movement or unmoving peace. The choice is mine alone. The choice is mine. All right, let's bring the hands a little closer to the shoulders now and push up, coming gently out of the position. Slide your hips to the heels, or your hips off the heels to one side, and let's straighten the legs out in front for Paschimotanasana. I have a blanket behind you here. Posterior stretching pose. We're both going to be on blankets. You might wish to too. This is fairly challenging forward bending asana. The blanket helps to tip the pelvis forward. Just take a moment, close the eyes, hands down on the floor beside your hips, and lengthen out through the heels, lengthen up through the crown of the head in Dandasana, staff pose, preparatory for Paschimotanasana. And then let's inhale, circle the arms up overhead, stretching tall, long spine. Exhale, hinging forward at the hip joints. Bring the hands down to wherever they come naturally with a straight spine. So in other words, not rounding the spine yet, but rather straightening it up, even if that means that you don't come forward at all, that's fine. Just keep lengthening, breathing up through the crown of the head with the inhalations, lengthening. And now in an exhalation, let the entire upper body relax forward into the completed pose. If you can reach the toes, you can circle the first two fingers of each hand around the big toes, but don't worry about that. Otherwise, just relax. Let the upper body soften. Head, neck, upper back, everything releases. Silently affirm, I am safe. I am sound. All good things come to me. They give me peace. Now let's walk the hands back in. Coming back to upright. Stretch the arms up overhead, inhaling, lengthen the spine once again. Exhaling and circling, arms back down. Back to Dandasana. Let's just pause here for a couple breaths. Really press into the floor, lengthen your spine. Now we're going to bend the spine in the opposite direction, backward bend of the spine to charge it with energy. Let's come full length onto your belly. Bend the knees and grasp the ankles with the hands and make sure that you're pressing the pubic bone into the floor here to protect your lower back so we don't have too much backward bend in your lower back. And as you're ready, inhaling and stretch back and up through the legs. Reach up, and that pulling you upward into the backward bend. Keep the breath flowing, don't hold the breath. Wonderful pose for charging the spine with energy. Silently affirm, I recall my scattered forces to recharge my spine. I recall my scattered forces to recharge my spine. One more breath. And let's release and relax back down. Let the body soften. And bring the hands beside the chest and press back into child pose. Let's relax the back side of the body. Arms down by your feet. Just let everything relax. Silently affirm, I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. All right, let's come full length onto the floor once again, and this time on the back side of the body, we're going to briefly do supine twist here, Jathara, Parivartanasana. Bend the left knee, slide the foot in, bring the left foot to the top of the right thigh, left arm out to your side, right hand to left knee. Let's inhale, exhale, roll on the right hip, over toward the right side, as far as the body wants to go today. Allow the spine to get this gentle twist, and with the lower body going one way and turn your head in the opposite direction, calls your attention to what's right between the two in the center, your spine. central channel of energy to flow to the brain. We're opening that channel. Silently affirm, I open to the flow of God's life within me. I open to the flow of God's life within me. And let's inhale, lengthen. Exhale, roll back to center. Shift the hips back to center. Straighten out the legs. And just pause for a couple breaths between sides. And let's do the opposite side. Bend the right knee, slide it in, shift your hips to the right, right foot to left thigh, right arm out to the side, left hand to right knee. Let's inhale, exhale, rolling on the left hip over to the side. Turn your gaze out over the right shoulder. Breathe through the spine. See if you can feel that rising and descending current in this pose too, where the center of the torso may feel a little bit constricted. That current is still happening. It's your opportunity to tune into it. Silently affirming, I open to the flow of God's life within me. Let's inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, roll back out. Shift the hips back to center. Straighten the legs out into brief Savasana here before our next asana. And we're going to do one more asana, Viparita Karani. Simple inverted pose. You may wish to get a blanket and a folded blanket on the floor with your shoulders on the blanket and your head just off, again, to protect the cervical curve from being overly stretched. So as you're ready, you can bring the legs up to the vertical position. And then lift the hips up. Bring the hands not up to the shoulder blades as you do with shoulder stand, but bring the fingertips to the tip of the tailbone, where the energy of the hands can loosen the kundalini energy, that the force of subtle gravity can cause the energy to cascade through the spine to the brain. Press the backs of the shoulders, back of the head into the floor. Lengthen up through the legs, just as Claudia is doing. Beautiful job of silently affirming, awake my sleeping powers. Awake. Awake my sleeping powers. Awake. And then let's slowly release under control. Bringing legs back to the floor. If you're using a blanket, you can take the blanket out from underneath you. And then stretch out in Savasana, corpse pose. We'll just be here for a very short period. Close the eyes, lift the gaze to the point between the eyebrows. And here in this position also, focus on the flow of energy in the spine, moving toward the brain as you inhale, down toward the tailbone as you exhale. We're not making the breath strong, but make your concentration strong. Now that you're in a position of being able to relax the body completely, a strong concentration in the spine will magnetically attract energy from the periphery of the body into the spine. Wonderful way to begin to shut off the sense telephones, disconnect them. Couple more breaths in this position, staying focused on the spinal energies, letting them flow on their own, but being very focused on them, not controlling, just deeply concentrated. And now let's bend the knees, bring the knees up, wrap your arms around them, squeeze them in, and roll left and right across the spine a few times. And over onto one side. Stay here briefly, readying the body to come back to an upright sitting position. And when you're ready, go ahead and press the hands into the floor and rise up to sitting, either cross-legged or in a chair. In our guided meditation practice now, we're going to practice a technique that Paramahansa Yogananda gave for disconnecting the sense telephones. A very simple technique that involves the breath, involves visualization, involves the will as well. So I'll describe it and then we'll do it together. What you're going to do is with the eyes closed and turned to the point between the eyebrows, you're going to inhale, and with your willpower, or feel yourself drawing energy up through the lower spine, up to the heart. We'll very briefly hold the breath, and then we'll, as we exhale, just release completely, expand completely out from the heart, and leave the breath out for as long as possible. While the breath is held out, try to feel the energy and your awareness continuing to move up the spine to the brain. What we're doing with this technique is we're withdrawing the life force from the senses which operate out of the chakras. We are withdrawing it and bringing it up to the brain, disconnecting the sense telephones very consciously through the breath, through the will, through visualization. Close the eyes, lift the gaze to the spiritual eye. And with a slow inhalation, with willpower, move the energy of the senses up the spine to the heart. When you reach the heart, hold just briefly, and then exhale through nose or through mouth, either way, whatever feels comfortable, but hold the breath out. As long as it's comfortable, feel the continued upward movement of energy in the spine to the brain. And when you need to, inhale again, drawing the life force from the lower chakras up to the heart. Exhaling. And as you hold the breath out, feel the continued upward movement of energy in the spine to the brain. Just several more times at your own pace. Inhaling, drawing up to the heart. Exhaling. And holding the breath out, enjoying that upward movement of energy to the brain. Let's do one last breath this way. Then let go of the breath completely and concentrate very deeply at the point between the eyebrows. That will continue to draw energy away from the senses, up to the higher center of the brain. Just rest in that inner peace. Keep your concentration engaged. As you continue to disconnect the sense telephones and relax away from distraction. Now prepare the mind to come back to an outward state of awareness once again, but without losing that inner sense of self-sufficiency. When you're ready, open the eyes once again. It takes practice to fully disconnect the sense telephones. In fact, meditation is really the practice that will take you there much more than asana. But we can practice it in asana. We can practice it anytime. It does take time to deepen this practice, but it's more than worth the effort, because when you are able to remove yourself from distraction, a you'll open yourself to the beautiful inner world that lies beyond the senses, the world of yoga. Joy to you.